Hi, this is Charles Kelly, Money Tips. How are you doing today? Well, yesterday we heard the news that on the 1st of April, and this is not an April Fool's gag, by the way, that utility bills could go up this year in the UK by up to 700% for some people. They've already doubled for most people, and this is because the price cap that's set by the regulator, Ofgem, has been lifted, meaning that companies can now start charging almost ridiculous prices for the gas and electricity, and this has really affected people. And this is in addition to the prices of everything else, but with regards to the gas and electricity prices, these are really going to start hitting people hard. So I want to give you a few tips today to try and deal with this price rise and price inflation and crisis, really this literal crisis that the world is in, but in particular countries in Europe which rely on, say, Russian gas and natural gas for a lot of their power. And this has gone up not just because of the war. This was going up in the last year, as has the price of most things in the last couple of years. And I've been warning about this many times. I've told people to buy to stock up on things that they can keep, like household items and food that you can store for a long time, because I knew this was going up in leaps and bounds, and we've seen this. Now, millions of people are now literally worried, and they're feeling the pinch. But worrying alone is not going to do anything unless you convert that into some form of action. You've got to take action. So I want you to first of all think of this as an economic winter right now. I've been talking about this for a few weeks, that we are in an economic winter. It's April the 1st in the UK, but spring is supposed to be here. It was snowing yesterday, which is an indication, it's almost a sign that we're not out of the winter yet, that the winter is still here. And in terms of the economy, I think that snow yesterday was a metaphor that we are still in an economic winter, literally. So you've got to do something about this, and I'm going to give you some tips. But just remember that the economy is tight, things are bad right now, but winters never last forever, right? Winter is followed by spring, and spring follows by summer, and then autumn. It goes round, things go round. Like we've had booms and in things like property and the stock market. I don't know how long they're going to last for, but things, you've got to remember, things don't last forever. So winter won't last forever. So you've got to survive this, and literally we've got to buckle down, tighten your belts and all that sort of pulling your reins, all those cliches, but literally tighten your belts and get through this, because you will survive if you do that. If you take action to look at your finances, to think about all the ways you can tighten your belts. And I put up a lot of free training about this, and I talk about this in my Smart Money Manager course, and how to manage your money and get control of your finances. But if you do this, then you will survive. Now, one tip you could do with the utilities, I don't know how you pay for your gas and electricity, but if you've got one of those prepay meters, they are the most expensive. It's equivalent to the old coin meters. We had them at home when I was growing up. We had coin meters. You put money in, and that's the most expensive way to buy your gas or electricity. So you want to really get out of that. Ask your company to put you onto a billing process where you pay by direct debit. Now, if you are paying by direct debit, none of the financial experts have mentioned this, but you can spread your cost over the whole year. It doesn't mean that you've got this winter bill, and I mean, if you're paying your bill quarterly and you're just going down the bank and paying them, then you are going to be hit with a big bill right now, but because you've just had the winter months. But if you spread your payments on direct debit through the whole year, then that cushions the blow between winter and summer. It cushions the blow from high usage and low usage. So they work out, the company will work out your bills over this year will be £1,200. So we'll collect from you £100 a month. And usually at the end of the year, there's a bit of a deficit, or there's a bit of a credit for you, but it works out pretty accurately. Now, what I've found is that you don't have to pay that amount. You can spread your amount you can carry on paying what you were paying right now. You don't necessarily have to increase your direct debit right now, and the companies often don't do this. And if you can't afford to increase your direct debit right now, Yes, at the end of the year you'll have a deficit, you'll be in debit, but they're not necessarily going to charge you any interest for that. They're not necessarily going to come after you for that. So if you need to spread your payments for the time being, that's one way of doing it. And in fact, on one of my accounts for a property, they hadn't been collected enough. So then they didn't say, well, we're going to take all that money in one go. They just said, well, we will increase your payments so that debit or deficit is cleared by the end of their year, which was 9 months' time or whatever. So that's one tip to think about this. And you can also talk to the company and say, look, I can't afford my bill to go up from 150 a month to 300 a month or 400 a month. What can we do about this? Now at the moment, normally we suggest that people switch utility providers, but that's not really going to help at the moment because they're all offering high tariffs. Now on one of my tariffs, which unfortunately came to an end when it was too late for me to switch to another tariff, a good tariff I mean, they're now offering me, they've written to me saying, well, on the 6th of April your bill will either go onto the variable rate tariff or you can fix it at XYZ. Now, fixing it right now to me seems like fixing a mortgage for 25 years when interest rates are at 10 or 12%. And incidentally, that's what a lot of people did. In the old days, when I remember recessions when mortgage rates were 16%, those were the days, those we had it tough in those days, right? I remember rates at that high. And people thought that if they could get a fixed rate at 10% on their mortgage, they thought, great, I'll fix my rate for 10 years at 10%. But then rates started to come down after the financial crash. Rates have plummeted. So a lot of people were stuck with this rate of 10% because they'd fixed it. So personally, this is only my opinion, I don't want to fix my tariff for the next year or two at a high rate when rates are at record levels. So in my case, I'm going to stick with the variable because I think prices will have to come down eventually. We're in a bit of a crisis at the moment. Governments have printed and created trillions of dollars, and taxes are going up to pay for that in the UK and everywhere, I think. Interest rates are going up, but this won't last forever. And of course, we've got the war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and they are big suppliers of oil and gas. So that's affecting prices. That's affecting the spot markets and the wholesale prices of gas and electricity, gas and oil. So I don't think it's the time to fix tariffs and get into a panic and fix it. So I'm going to ride it out on the variable rate and wait till prices come down again before I refix. And that's something you've got to make your own choices about, your own decisions about. Obviously, there are ways you can save on fuel by insulating your home. Maybe consider getting solar panels if you can afford the upfront investment of that. But there are lots of tips from the Energy Council on how you can save energy in your home. I've heard lots of experts come up on TV and radio saying you can do this, you can do that. Don't boil a full kettle, boil a small cup of water instead of a full kettle. Don't waste things. Well, most of these things are fairly obvious, but things like draft proof in your home, which can be done very cheaply at your local DIY store, making sure your windows are not letting in so much draft and then letting out heat. Those sort of things can help. But I don't want to go for a load of money saving tips now because I want to look at the bigger picture. So that's one quick thing you can do. Consider spreading your gas and electricity costs by direct debit if you're not already doing so. The other thing to do in this kind of crisis is to make sure you've got a line of credit. Make sure you can build your credit now, even if you don't need it. Always have a line of credit, and one way of doing that is just to get credit cards but not actually spend on them, to apply for credit cards so that if anything goes wrong and you need to fall back on something, you've got that facility there. It doesn't even cost very much. It probably, a lot of the cards have no fees anyway. If you already have credit card debt, considering switching that to another provider where they might be charging a lower interest rate or even an interest-free deal if there are still some about, so that you can say if you owe £10,000 on a credit card and you're paying 16%, 16% when base rates are virtually zero, they're still charging that. there are offers out there where you could switch to a provider. Now maybe that there won't be interest free, but they might be charging 1 or 2% for a period of 12 or 18 months. And then you switch that into those, and that will bring your payment right down, and then use that buffer there to either pay the debt off faster or give you some breathing space on all your other outgoings. So that's one thing you can do. But you should also build your credit line, build your facility, so that if things do get really tough and God forbid you lose your job or you lose some form of income, then you've got something to fall back on. Because when things are getting tough and maybe you haven't got a job, then you try and get credit cards and you just won't get them, or they'll offer you 50% rate, or you'll be in the hands of these what I call loan sharks, like the Wongas of this world, that charge hundreds of percent per annum to give you credit, to lend you money. So just look at that. And the other thing is to watch your credit rating like a hawk. Don't let your credit rating be spoiled by missing payments, by missing direct debits, i.e. your direct debit bounces, and then that's counted as a missed payment if they report that to the credit rating agencies. They're very quick to report these things, so you've got to be careful. Utilities, and if you don't make those payments, then like you don't pay a bill or water bill or something, they're very quick to sue you. They're very quick to take you to court and get a default registered against you, which is like a county court judgment. So just be careful about that. You've got to really guard your credit rating like a hawk, because you might need that credit rating to get you out of trouble later on, or just to borrow money to make money. I talk about this in my book, Borrow and Grow Rich, that you can borrow and grow rich if you use good borrowing instead of bad borrowing, good debt instead of bad debt. Bad debt is buying things on in the shops on credit cards and paying 16% for consumer items that go down in value, whereas good debt is using your money to buy assets which produce an income for you, maybe forever, like a rental property that not only pays that debt off with that income, but gives you an income on top of it. That's called good borrowing, good debt. Borrowing to invest in a profitable, safe business is good borrowing. So look at that. I'm just giving a quick plug for my book there, but you've got to have a good credit rating to be able to borrow money from banks, and so guard your credit rating like a hawk. Now, if you want any further tips on inflation, I put up a video a couple of weeks ago, 5 inflation busting tips, if I can say it. And that's on YouTube, and I'll put a link up here in the notes here, but you can find it on my YouTube channel, and you can find it on Facebook and all over the place. But now look, just make the most of your money, basically, and your resources, and importantly, learn how to get control of your finances. This is not a time to be leaking money like a bucket with a hole in it. You've got to get control of things. Don't be one of these people who say, I don't know where it all goes. I reached the end of the month and I've still got some time left, and I've run out of money, and I can't meet my bills, and I have to go back to my mum and borrow money because I can't pay the rest of the month's bills. No, you've got to be really getting control of that money. And I go through that in my SMART course, but really get control of your money and your finances. Learn this by watching some of my videos, my trainings. I put up a lot of free training on this. And really get a grip on things now. This is not the time to be spending a lot of money. I know the shops need your money, but you need to hunker down and have savings, not be in debt all the time, because when you've got no savings, you've got no buffer there, that's when you're in trouble. That's when you fall into the hands of the loan sharks, the Wongas and these sorts of people. Oh yeah, so we can lend you money to fix that washing machine. Yeah, it's going to be 40% over a couple of months. It's ridiculous. Just don't do it. Some of these loan companies, if you keep that debt rolling, it could be thousands of percent a year. So just be careful. You've got to have money. You've got to have savings there. So get control of your finances, and remember that you're not alone. Okay, get help, get advice. And if you're in debt and you're in debt trouble, then there are lots of debt advisory councils type services in most countries. Here we have I think it's a debt advisory service, which is a non-profit sort of a charity type organization that can give you lots of advice on debt. There's Citizens Advice. if you're having trouble and you're being chased for debt, don't just bury your head in the sand and leave it and not open that letter because you know there's a red line across it and you know what's in there and you don't want to open it, you don't want to face it, right? You've got to face it but get advice on these things. Now, can you take proactive steps during this period to increase your wealth? The answer is yes, of course you can. And do people get wealthy and get rich during recessions and even depressions? The answer is yes. Look at, during the lockdown situation when, the billionaires of this world made even more billions and more billionaires were created because they were doing the right things and they were satisfying the demand. I'm talking about Jeff Bezos and people like that. But, you can say, oh, Joe, the fat cat rich. But, they're only fat cats and rich because they are giving something, they're providing a service that people want. And Amazon is one of those services. Now, I know that there's a lot of controversy about Amazon, but they are a good service. It's very easy to use them. You can make money on Amazon. You can go on Amazon and set up an Amazon shop. And that's how they've grown. Because they've enabled other people to make money. They've enabled people to save money. And they provide a very good service. They're very easy to use. Okay, I would pay a little bit more on Amazon because I know that I can trust them. I know that I can send goods back easily and so on. So these people have got more wealthy during the last couple of years. So yes, you can get rich during recessions, and definitely the answer is yes. Now, to help you get through this and to help you, come out of this, I would say not only surviving it, but actually to get stronger. I've got lots of free stuff online already, but I'm offering in the next couple of weeks, my diary's a little bit freer this next couple of weeks. I'm offering a free discovery accelerator, a wealth accelerator call, where I'll take you through a 30-minute call, usually on Zoom, and I'll basically give you some coaching and mentoring in that to see where you are and to help you get to where you want to go. Now, if you want to book that, I'll put a link up there, and I'll personally help you really accelerate your wealth building journey. If nothing else, you'll find out where you are now and where you want to be. So do check out that link, and good luck. Remember that these economic winters will not last forever, but it doesn't mean you've got to sit down and under a blanket with a hot water bottle waiting for it to come to an end. No, you've got to get out there and do something proactive. And to help you do that, I'm putting up this Wealth Accelerator call for you. So click the link below and I will see you there. Thanks a lot and have a good day. Bye for now.